Today we continue our series, Different. If you are following Jesus, obeying his commands, even when they're hard, and trying to live a life like he did, your life will and should look different every single day. Today we are talking about obedience to God. Here at church, we talk a lot about obeying your parents and obeying teachers, police, and others who are in authority. We talk about those things because they are all part of obeying God. But let's talk about the importance of obedience to God. It's true, obeying will keep you from getting punished, and will even make adults think you're a little angel. But the truth is, you should obey God because of who he is and because you trust and love him, not just to be a good kid or to avoid getting punished. Jesus told his disciples that if they love him, they would obey his commands. It doesn't get much clearer than that. Obedience shows love. If we love God, we should want to obey him. God tells us to obey our parents and anyone who is in authority over us. That can be hard sometimes, especially if you don't like the person who is bossing you around, or if you think it isn't a good rule. But God says to love him and trust him enough to obey those he puts in charge of you. Now, the only time this doesn't apply is if the person is hurting you or asking you to do something that is sin. If that is happening, then you should always tell another adult you trust what is going on so they can help you. Next, obedience shows you believe. When we obey God, it says we trust and believe that he knows what is best for us. No one is perfect, so you are going to mess up sometimes. The good news is that God forgives us when we make mistakes. But he wants us to live life in a way that we are trying to be as obedient as we can be for him, instead of trying to figure out how much we can get away with before we get in trouble. Obedience is a witness to others. Another reason to obey God is to show others that God is worth following. If we are constantly breaking God's rules and getting into trouble, others look at our lives and don't have any desire to be a follower of Jesus. When we choose to obey God, even when it's hard, it shows others that we love God, believe in who he is, and that they can have a better life by following him too. Obedience brings blessings. God promises that obeying him will bring blessings, or rewards, to your life. It's okay to do things for the blessings. That's why God promises them. The important thing to remember in all this obedience stuff is that God knows two things for sure. We will fail, and we can't fully obey without his help. So for the first one, he offers grace. Every time we mess up, he loves us and he forgives us. That's why he died on the cross. For the second one, knowing we need his help, he offers us his power through the Holy Spirit. He helps us when obeying is hard. Ask God to help you obey. Then, obey quickly, completely, and joyfully. That's how he tells us to do it. The more you obey, the easier it becomes. Obey because you believe in God, you love him, and you want to be a good witness. And you love to get his blessings. You know, there's a lot of disobedience going on in our world. Let's change that by following God and being different.